Hi, this is Jay from the Business On-Ramp, and I wanted to do a video blog for the first time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video after I'm done here. And I thought it was a video that a lot of you would be interested in. I found it very interesting. It kind of highlights some of the things that we're interested in as members of the On-Ramp. And that includes transformational business, business that just doesn't make money, but business that changes lives. And so enjoy this video. It's a TED Talk from a few years ago. And let me know what you think. Bye-bye.
Two years ago, I was awakened from my sleep at my home in Mozambique, Africa, by my wife, who was frantically screaming my name from outside. She had just returned home late with my son. So I got up, grabbed my nunchucks in one hand, I grabbed my stun gun in the other hand, I went running down the hall in my boxers, and out the front door, only to be greeted by a man with an AK-47 pointed at my head, just feet away from me, screaming profanities. Needless to say, I quickly dropped my weapons, and he started to push me around the house with the barrel of the gun, counting down the end of my life because I couldn't find the keys to the cars that he would eventually steal. My wife was outside with my other two sons, and they were kneeling on the driveway being held hostage by another man. So I yelled out to her, I said, "Terry, where are my car keys?" And she responded, "I tell you all the time to put them in the same place because someday you're going to need them and you're not going to find them. You never listen to me." Ladies, there's a time to correct your husband, but not when you've got a barrel in the side of your gut and you're being given a death count. And this guy kept counting down. 3, 2, 1, 0. I looked at him, he looked at me, and fortunately he started counting again. I eventually found those keys and off they went in the two cars, never to be seen again. You know, I had already spent 2 years in Mozambique building a food company. I had sold everything I had, I invested everything, and I was being tested in every area of my life, and now this. Søren Kierkegaard, a Danish theologian from the 19th century, once said, "The key is to find a purpose, whatever it truly is that God wills me to do. It's crucial to find the truth which is true to me, to find the idea that I'm willing to live and die for." Well, I found my idea, one that I was willing to die for. I want to pull people out of poverty, not just help them get by. I had seen devastating poverty as the newly appointed director of cocoa operations at the largest chocolate company in America. I was the turnaround guy, being sent to different jobs just about every year to bring innovations to different parts of the company. And this time they wanted innovation brought to the cocoa purchasing area. So Africa is where most of the cocoa is grown. So off I went on my first trip, and it was a trip that changed my life. It was shocking to me. I saw in Ghana, living conditions were just terrible, shocking. Primitive living conditions, mud huts with grass roofs, children, clothes tattered and torn. Children were being asked to take water on jugs on their head from way down the road when it was right underneath them. You've heard that saying, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach him how to fish, he eats for a lifetime. From what I saw in Ghana and later in Tanzania, that saying just wasn't right. You know, it was, these outsiders were coming in, they were focusing on teaching the farmers how to farm better. Half of their crops were rotting in the field. They didn't need to know how to farm better. What they needed was a market to sell their crops. Okay? In the case of that saying, they knew how to fish. They needed a fishing pole, they needed a fishing hole with unlimited fish, and they needed a dozen sushi restaurants right around them to sell to. So I'm back in the USA, safely there, and the plight of those farmers just kept nagging me. And a few years later, I went radical. I decided to sell everything I owned, move my family to one of the poorest countries in the world, in Africa, invest everything I had in a new business model. Most companies today are run on a financial bottom line. Some companies are incorporating and developing corporate social responsibility. And that's a triple bottom line: financial, environmental, and social. But social doesn't go far enough. That's why I added an intentional transformational objective as a bottom line. It's called the Sunshine Approach. It's a quadruple bottom line business. It's the fishing lesson combined with a marketplace. I built a company, a cashew roasting company in Mozambique, Africa that was transformational. Mozambique used to be #1 largest cashew producer in the world until civil war and banking policies decimated their industry over 30 years ago. I think it's time to return Mozambique to its former glory. You know, the intent, is to develop a cashew brand that would be transformational and would create a market for subsistence farmers, and that's 80% of Mozambique's population. But this isn't a pity party. We want to bring them out of poverty, but it's not a pity party where you buy a substandard product at a high price just because we're helping alleviate poverty. Our cashew brand is designed to attract repeat customers because it's a high-quality product that tastes great, it's incredibly fresh, it's high quality, and it's priced with the competition. The intent of the model is to employ people, lots of people, in a dignified way. So our focus is on manual operations. And it's kind of humorous because I minored in automation and robotics at Penn State, and now I'm putting machines out of work. And it's these 50 employees that are employed at our cashew roasting factory, they create a need for 1,000 people to shell those cashews up north in the villages. But they also create a need for 50,000 farming families to farm those cashews on their small plots of land. We also wanted to be transformational in our hiring practices. There's 1.6 million orphans out of a total population of 25 million in Mozambique. When those children grow up, they have little or no opportunity. Most of my employees were either abandoned or orphaned in their youth. Now, they're running the factory. And we're teaching them to be leaders in business. We've already promoted 5 to lead positions, and 1 we promoted even further. His name is Benario. Benario's mother abandoned him after his father died at an early age. He then lived with his grandparents, and his grandparents beat him up regularly, so he ran away and lived out on the streets of the capital city of Maputo. And he was being mentored by one of the worst criminals in the city, till a courageous woman came and she offered him a place at her children's center. Benario has transformed from an abandoned, troubled teen into the production manager of a world-class factory. I only hired him 18 months ago. Benario had no hope, no opportunity, and now he has no limitations. He has a new house, he has a wife, beautiful wife, a wonderful daughter, and he can see his future, and it's filled with sunshine. We want to maximize, and we want to make profit, okay? And why? Because that gets things going. And we do this, in order to do that, what we have to do is we have to take what's a disadvantage in a third world country and turn it into a competitive advantage. So we're reducing costs by streamlining the process. We're helping the value chain all the way down to the farmer level. We're improving freshness by packaging immediately at origin. That's a major advantage. We're eliminating middlemen by being in country, and after we make this amazing product, we have to move it to market with logistical excellence. Why do we want to maximize profit? To give it away. That transformation objective of giving it away is what sets our company apart. It's like social impact on steroids. We create this, 90%. Normally companies give to shareholders, the profits, but we give 90% of the company proceeds to the poor and orphaned. And breaking that down, that's 30% to the cashew farming communities that grow our cashew, 30% to orphan care, and then 30% is a growth component to build other food companies using the Sunshine model, which is a corporate philanthropic model. The first 30% of proceeds goes to the cashew farming villages, but not as handouts, hand-ups in the villages. Projects like water wells, health care, enhanced education, childhood nutrition, subsidized housing, even bikes, anything to raise the standard of living. And, this was our first year of operation last year, and we wanted to help, but we didn't have profits, so we decided to do something anyway. We decided to plant new cashew trees. So we contacted the government, and we said, we want to buy 1,000 trees from your nurseries. And we said, we're going to go up north, a bunch of our employees and myself, and we're going to plant them among the villages, these trees of hope as gestures of love. So my family, my employees, myself, we jumped in 3 vehicles. We started the process for a long weekend, heading north, 7 hours of driving. And on the way up, the government called us and they said, we think what you're doing is amazing. And we'd like to donate those trees. We'd like to deliver them where you want to go. And we're all talking, we want to show up and help you plant them. That was on a Saturday. So we've planted 2,000 trees so far in 4 villages. Our goal is 50,000 trees among 25,000 smallholder families on their small plots of land. Each cashew tree starts to give cashews in about 3 years, but it provides an income for up to 50 years. The second 30% of proceeds goes to orphan care. And mostly to the established children's centers that my wife and I spend most of our time at. And at those orphanages, my wife, who heads up the Sunshine Approach Foundation, it's a new charity that we opened up. But at the orphanages, she's known as Chief Baby Hugger. When we go up, we drive our vehicles up, our Land Cruiser up, we got loads of kids come running towards us, chanting, Mama Terry, Mama Terry, Mama Terry. And a few of them, they say, hey, what's up, Papa Don? It's just a neat scenario. We're coordinating programs on the ground. We understand what the needs are and how best to meet them. And what I find is they need most is attention. I can sit there, and one after another child comes, and they sit down to be hugged and loved, and then off they go. We were going to our intention was to originally support the established children's centers. But then we met 12-year-old Cecilia and her 2 younger siblings, Madalena and Antonio. Their mother committed suicide after their father was killed in a tragic accident. The landlords then came and kicked them out of their tiny house. So they were out on the streets, and that's when we first learned about them from one of our employees who brought them to our attention. They were so desperate. What we eventually did, we quickly raised funds, and we bought them a house, and we put it in their name. Then my wife and I and my employees then renovated the house, put everything in to live comfortably, including a woman who was also in need to take care of them, bringing orphans and widows together to form family units. That's the Sunshine Approach. Cecilia, her mother, before she committed suicide, she met with her friend to get her hair done. And she said, Cecilia, she can take care of herself. She's pretty enough. She can be a prostitute on the streets. Cecilia was 12 years old. So the first time I met Cecilia, I asked her, what do you want to be when you grow up? She said, I want to be a lawyer. I want to help people who can't help themselves. I think that sounds like a sunshine dream. So we have her taking English lessons, and we also are raising funds to put her in a private school. I have 2 American universities already interested in her as a foreign student. I live for the day that I see her in a courtroom fighting for justice for people less fortunate than her. The last 30% of proceeds goes to build other food companies in other locations using the Sunshine Approach model of philanthropic. There are so many opportunities to do other companies, to create markets for subsistence farmers. That's 80% of the population of Mozambique. And what we're looking at is, the first is Project Sunshine, and that's building mini factories in the villages. And those mini factories will take the shell off of the cashew. But at each mini factory, we'll have a center of excellence located on site. It's a large room where we're able to do good. Things like trading posts, educational sessions, health services, microfinancing, and so on. The Sunshine Approach is all about value-driven business, where values such as dignity, love, and community come together with excellence. Remember that AK-47? It didn't faze me. It actually galvanized me. This is a hard thing to do, but it's something I will never quit. My family and I thought it was all about giving up everything to help those less fortunate to have better lives, but we've received a gift as well. It's an abundant life filled with the privilege of seeing lives transformed. You know, it's just an exciting thing. You know, I agree with Søren Kierkegaard. I know this is my purpose. I know this is what I was created to do. And I've found the idea that I'm willing to die for. Do you want to start living abundantly? Living life to the fullest? It's not material possessions. I tried that. That's not the answer. Find an idea that you're willing to die for, and then start to really live. Thank you.